How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius. In a world full of challenges and fluctuations, some may find in the wisdom of the past a path towards stability and inner balance. How to Think Like a Roman Emperor by Donald Robertson presents a vivid narrative of Marcus Aurelius's life, the last of the Stoic philosophers, blending it with modern psychology to offer a practical guide for building emotional resilience and facing adversity. The author illustrates how Marcus applied Stoic principles and cognitive behavioral techniques to overcome crises and triumph over pain, making him a living example of a wise, composed leader, even in the most difficult times. Death and the View from Above. One of the book's foundational lessons invites readers to confront the reality of death with a transcendent perspective. Robertson emphasizes that death is an inescapable part of life, and that Stoic philosophy prepares us for this difficult truth. Death, to the Stoics, was not a catastrophic end, but a painless, sensation-free state, described as calm and peaceful. By embracing this view, one learns not to be overwhelmed by fear of the inevitable, but to see it as a natural part of existence. This awareness of mortality helps broaden our perspective and encourages us to appreciate the present moment, freeing us from constant anxiety about the future. The inevitability of death and living wisely. Building on the previous point, the book stresses that fully accepting death allows for a deeper understanding of life. Marcus Aurelius recognized early on that everyone is small in the eyes of time, and that life, no matter how long, is fleeting. Robertson argues that recognizing life's impermanence pushes us to stop wasting time on complaints and worries, and instead motivates us to live with full awareness and wisdom. This principle dissolves the illusion of permanent perfection and teaches us to seek genuine value in our daily lives rather than chasing fleeting desires. First impressions and linguistic clarity. Marcus was not alone in believing in the need to build an inner wall against emotional turmoil. Our reaction to events occurs in two phases. The first is automatic, the initial impression. The second is deliberate, our chosen response. Without self-control, our internal impressions, fear, envy, resentment, can shake our stability. Robertson highlights the importance of using clear, objective language to describe situations. When we label things as good or bad, we form premature emotional judgments that cloud our thinking. Objective description reduces negative imagination and curbs emotional overreaction. Emulating the wise and following values. Beyond impressions and language, the book offers another rule. Surround yourself with good role models. If we lack a wise guide in real life, Stoicism recommends imagining an ideal figure. We can list the virtues we admire in wise individuals, then shape a mental image of a chosen sage to whom we pose daily questions like, "What would he do in my situation?" This mental training helps instill virtuous values in our behavior. Robertson also outlines the Stoic learning cycle: morning preparation, acting according to values throughout the day, and reviewing the day in the evening. Through this daily practice, small steps of growth accumulate into lasting personal transformation. The choice between virtue and pleasure. One of the book's central lessons is the tale of Hercules' choice, which Stoicism uses to illustrate life's paths. Hercules stands at a crossroads. One road leads to false happiness filled with fleeting pleasures. The other, more difficult path leads to virtue and hardship. The story affirms that everyone faces this choice: the easy road of comfort and fame, or the challenging path of honor and excellence. Hercules chooses virtue, rejecting the lure of shallow pleasure, a clear message that temporary delights do not satisfy the soul. True joy, or Stoic joy, arises from living according to virtue and noble action. Actions guided by high principles carry a meaning far deeper than any passing indulgence. Overcoming pain. Stoic training isn't limited to emotional control. It also includes transcending physical and psychological suffering. The book teaches through Marcus's life that pain is merely a temporary event. Our response to it, fear or disdain, is what magnifies it. Marcus often reminded himself that while the body is weak, the spirit is steady, and the degree of pain depends more on our judgment than its actual intensity. From a Stoic perspective, we distinguish between physical pain and our mental resistance to it. In other words, we can treat pain as a temporary condition dealt with rationally, like a siren that rings and fades. Simply describing it calmly makes it less overwhelming. Recommended techniques include separating bodily sensations from mental judgments, observing the sensation as it begins without labeling it, and accepting it as a temporary part of life's experience. The inner fortress and facing fear. Stoicism also teaches us how to build what Marcus calls an inner fortress, a sanctuary of the self when external dangers arise. This involves mental preparation for adversity. Robertson suggests we pre-rehearse misfortunes by carefully visualizing the worst-case scenario. This foresight reduces emotional shock when trouble does arrive and cultivates acceptance and foresight. Acknowledging that some hardships are beyond our control and training ourselves to envision them helps lessen their destructive impact. Moreover, Marcus often shifts his mind to a view from above, to observe matters with broader perspective. He reminds us that everything around us is constantly changing, and that what seems catastrophic now may appear trivial in 20 years. Psychological research supports similar methods like worry postponement, identifying anxious thoughts early, scheduling a time to think them through, then postponing them once that time ends, possibly writing them down if necessary. These techniques free us from the grip of chronic worry and give our minds clarity and better judgment. Robertson's personal journey. One may ask, what about the author himself? Donald Robertson recounts his journey into Stoicism as stemming from a profound personal experience. After his father's death, he found himself grappling with existential questions about grief and mortality. Stoicism wasn't just an academic topic for him. It became a discovery that changed his life. Robertson became a psychotherapist, blending cognitive behavioral therapy with Stoic philosophy, believing that ancient wisdom can lead to real transformation. Understanding this context shows why the book merges Marcus's deep biography with modern therapeutic practice, giving the ideas both human depth and practical appeal. Overcoming anger. Despite all the Stoic tools, anger remains a particularly difficult emotion. Robertson views anger as an inherently harmful desire, a desire to harm someone who wronged us. Stoicism urges us to detect early signs of anger in the body, then apply cognitive distancing by remembering that the event is neutral. Our interpretation causes the emotion. The book recommends delaying reactions until the emotion subsides while considering the consequences of any response. Ultimately, we should ask ourselves, what virtues do I need right now? Calmness and humility outweigh impulsiveness and injustice. Marcus, in the Meditations, includes several reminders for handling anger. Human beings are social by nature. No one errs deliberately, and perfection does not exist. We cannot know others' intentions, and death renders all misunderstandings irrelevant. In the end, anger harms only the angry person and solves nothing. This ethical stance leads the Stoic to reshape their response instead of letting rage and resentment destroy their balance. Conclusion. In short, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor offers a roadmap for anyone seeking to harness ancient wisdom to face modern challenges. With a graceful narrative, Robertson intertwines the stories of Marcus Aurelius with modern psychological theories to demonstrate that virtue and mental stability are the safety valves we need to live with peace and happiness.